Hey everyone, Alec Tackmann here. We're going through GoAndPractice, Book 2. We're looking at page 24, which is eighth note triplets against straight eighth notes. And before I get going, if you haven't checked out the book, please do so, or the whole series. And also, if you have already and you like it, please help me out by leaving a nice review online. Not that it's because I just like to read that stuff, but because it actually helps out quite a lot with sales. So that I would definitely appreciate that if you did that. But anyway, on to number one, eighth note triplets against straight eighth notes. This is a tricky thing to do, and a lot of people, I think, don't have this concept down as much as they think they do. And I see this happen a lot with my own students. I pretty regularly can bust like high school students, upperclassmen on this one, simply by putting on the metronome. So this page and this concept, I think, for me, really reinforces the idea that with drumming, there's not, like to become a better drummer, I think the big secret is that there aren't that many secrets. When I was younger, I used to think I used to ask my drum teacher, all right, what's the coolest, sickest, fill or whatever, how can I get fast or whatever. And I remember he was always like, hey, come on, man, what, and it wasn't until I was older it kind of dawned on me no, it's your ability to keep time. You understand your rudiments, your grooves, your dynamics, all the basics, all the same things everyone's been talking about since day one. And this page, you could probably bust through it just fine using your own internal clock. But if you haven't done it before, try to get through this page and iron it out with a metronome, and you'll find it's much harder to do. So for this page, using a metronome is critical. If you're not practicing it with a metronome, it doesn't count. Don't even allow yourself to play something like this without it. It totally misses the point. And if you're playing with the metronome and you're struggling, don't make your first reflex to turn off the metronome, okay? If you're having a hard time with it and it feels like the metronome is speeding up or slowing down, that's just your mind messing with you. That means your sense of time isn't good enough yet. You need to practice it more. So you got to confront those problems, those difficulties, and actually improve on them. Because if you don't, it's going to be your band director or a bandmate or someone who's trying to hire you or pay you money to play the instrument, or if you're recording or something like that. You don't want to get caught not being able to do something like this in a situation where it actually matters. So make your mistakes at home in front of the metronome because it doesn't care. So let's dive in and start with number one. Number one is pretty basic. We've got one triplet and then one set of eighth notes per measure. Now, in those three quarter notes leading up to the triplet or the eighth note, you have enough time to kind of reset your brain, reset your subdivision. So for the first measure, you probably want to be thinking already, triplet, 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 triplet. And then the next one, switch gears to eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, bum, bum, bum. And what I do is, I'll just say literally triplet because it has 3 syllables, or eighth note because it has 2. Sometimes, of course, it's nice to count 1 and 2 in, but if I have to play them back to back, I just do that. Triplet, triplet, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note. And I find that works really well with students too, especially younger kids, when you don't want to try to bog them down with the tongue twisters of actually counting. Number 2 and 3 just kind of build off that same idea. Number 3 is going to be a little bit trickier because you don't have any time to reset your clock. You just got to hit the ground running, and this is hard to do. You can hear I kind of waffled there on that second measure. Now one thing you can do here is think of what your lead hand should be. When you're in triplets, it's alternating, right, left, right, left. When you're in eighth notes, it's always your right hand that clicks. 1, 2. So number 3 would be right, left, right, left, right, 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 right. You're aiming for that kind of anchor point on the click. And that's going to be really important when you take the metronome away. So you can get your internal pulse kind of happening, or even just tapping your foot, or if you're in marching band, you're marking time, or if you're on the drum set, it's your hi-hat foot, or whatever. Watching the conductor, those are your anchor points. Okay, so now like in number 5, we have fewer of them. Now there's 2 of each, triplet, triplet, eighth note, eighth note. In number 6, it's 1 of each. This is really tricky to do. What you want to do is resist the temptation to swing those eighth notes, because right now that's not what we're supposed to be doing. In a lot of situations you will. Usually you don't have triplets and eighth notes rub against each other like this, but it can be a pretty hip sound when you get comfortable with it. So don't play number 6 or 5 or any of them. Don't do this. It's not that. It's triplet, eighth note, triplet, eighth note. All right. Same idea happens in number 7 as we saw on the previous page. We're just taking the hemiola, the concept we talked about before. We're playing a double stroke over straight eighths and then over triplets. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 4, 1. Number 8, all right, the swing eighth notes I was talking about before. Here we're going to put those swing eighth notes up against the straight eighth notes. Now they're not written as eighth notes, they are triplets with the middle part of it missing, but it's the exact same sound, exact same feel. This is another thing that you're going to see occasionally in music, where we switch from swing time to straight time. Again, you want to have a really good grasp of where that needs to be, all right? Number 8 is going to go. So, always have the metronome going. That's key. If you're not using the metronome, it doesn't count. Okay. A good analogy I use with students all the time is practicing to a metronome is like ironing your shirt, which I did not do today. But no matter how nice of a shirt you have, or a dress, or an outfit, if it's wrinkled, it doesn't count. It looks like crap. Okay. If you learn the coolest stuff on the drums and you can't play it to a metronome, you can't play it in time, it doesn't count. It doesn't matter how flashy your stuff is, doesn't matter how technical it is. If it's not in time, if bandmates can't jam along with you, if people can't dance to your drumming, it doesn't count, okay? So you have to iron it out. It has to be able to be played in time. Now, not all music needs to be in time, but what I'm saying is you want to be able to know what time is first before you mess with it, okay? Of course, music has times where it ebbs and flows and speeds up and slows down, but you want to be the person who knows what solid time is. So when it comes time to say, like, well, let's push it a little bit in this part of the song or whatever, you actually have control over it. You're not just kind of doing that willy-nilly. So this is good exercise for not just, you know, the nuts and bolts of playing triplets and eighth notes. This is also good for your timekeeping. If you want to go ahead and even like throw in more subdivisions on this, like say do triplet, triplet, and then sixteenths, and then quintuplets, and then sextuplets, you know, whatever, sevens, eights, and then, you know, always have that time happening there. Doing subdivisions, all of them, up against a click is also just really good for your timekeeping. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that topic. If you got any questions, just let me know. Thanks again for checking out the video. We got a little into the far off stuff there. But yeah, thanks again. Check out the books if you can, and we'll see you guys on the next video.